Welcome. Today, my guest is Anastasia Durbala. She is an expert in the cybersecurity realm with decades of experience in the technology industry. I brought her on because we have a lot going on in the cybersecurity world. We have so much information coming at us. In fact, some big name hotels just got security breached. And we also have that risk. And so I wanted her to share some expertise with us. What can we do to communicate? What can we do to speak up, to do what we need to do to protect ourselves? As well as she's also going to share some information about how to communicate with various people. She works on large projects. She goes into organizations, does assessments, find out where the security breaches are, and offer different cybersecurity solutions. And through that whole process, she has to work with a lot of different counterparts, executives, as well as HR department heads, and consider how to approach them. And so she's going to share with us some skills and some experiences with us because a lot of you are doing big projects. And so how do we effectively communicate with different audiences? So check out this episode, listen for these tips, and hope you enjoy. Hello, Anastasia.
Hi,
Hello, glad you're here.
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for sharing your expertise on the cyber realm with us. I'm excited to hear from your perspective. You've been in the industry many, many years. And so, what is exciting and new in the cybersecurity world that you want the audience to hear?
Well, one reminder that I want people to know is it's been around, but there's been kind of an uptick in a specific area. We always hear a lot about phishing and getting emails from bad actors or villains as far as trying to get us to click on a link for something bad. A big element is they're trying to get you to click on a link that looks like a legitimate website and get your credentials. And if you don't have a secure password, including two-factor authentication, suddenly they have access to your potential account. Now, what's taken an uptick recently is text messaging this way. This is called smishing, and you may have noticed you receive a lot of those. Now, some of them are similar with the link that they want you to click on. Hopefully, they're going to capture your credentials, or again, maybe they want you to click on a link and download malware onto your phone. My biggest thing is I would just say, take a moment and be mindful. These are annoying messages and they bother all of us. But if you're concerned about the topics or the subject of any of them, and it looks or appears to be from a legitimate vendor or one of your clients, rather than responding to that message, reach out directly to that vendor or that banking institution or that individual client and talk to them. Sometimes we forget about just engaging on a regular, how are you doing, talking one-to-one. And so that's really important. And then now you're in control because you know that a phone number that you called is legitimate, and then you can get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, if someone's really trying to reach you and they keep emailing you, and even though it may have seemed rushed or not quite their normal style, they'll eventually pick up the phone and call you if it becomes urgent enough. So that's just kind of one area that I'd like everyone to continue to remain vigilant and, open and mindful about.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. We're bombarded with so much information, so many texts, so many emails. And then for me, I tend to start to avoid it. I avoid it all. I avoid it all. And I don't think that that's like what you're saying is the best solution. Because what what actually ended up happening to me one time is my power did get shut off because it was actually PG&E trying to email me. And I just ended up avoiding it all. And that's not the solution. That's not the way to interact, I think, with all of this information that's coming at us. And so what you're saying is, hey, be mindful, let's take a step, take a break, be mindful of what's happening. You can take a look at the message, and then if it does seem legitimate and you're still not sure, then you're saying to go on the website, go on their actual website, get the actual phone number versus whatever number that they're giving you, because sometimes we'll call that number to find out if they're
Correct.
or not, and don't do that. So take a moment to go on their website, look for the actual number, or go onto the website and log into your account to see if your statement or your bills are paid, and then make a phone call to verify.
Yeah, and a lot of different accounts that you have. If it's a personal account, you can look on and see what the login history is. If it's a business account, certainly you can reach out to your IT department and they can determine different logins and determine if something is awry with one of your accounts.
Mm-hmm. And so you do this, you offer cybersecurity solutions to organizations, large organizations, and you supported them and helped them to find out where the gaps in some of their cybersecurity protocols. And so you work with,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I've worked a lot with the financial industry that's reportable to the SEC. But basically, why go in and I assess and see where are the holes or the gaps in security in an organization, and there would as it has to do with information security. And then, and that involves working with a bunch of different departments, interviewing different departments, getting a sense of, does everyone know where their data is? How are they protecting it and who has access to it? And then are the different departments communicating together so that they all stay informed? And as a whole, the organization really has a solid handle on what's going on with their data.
And are you finding that organizations are good at communicating as a whole?
I would say they try very hard. And yeah, as a whole, I think they do pretty good. I think the fact that they reach out to request assessments speaks a lot to that they understand the gravity of understanding where different holes are. Sometimes where communication might be a little tricky from my point of view is uh, you know, maybe a particular department is a little nervous because now someone's coming in or a team of folks are coming in and interviewing them, asking a lot of questions. And so I really like to reassure folks that my job isn't to assess them or, um, break down. We're not trying to find holes with that. We're basically trying to gather all the information so that it's clear if for your department, do you have a sense of where the data is? And then, how are you communicating with the other teams? And so, so as we work through that process, it gets easier as we go along. And that really helps is just keeping the communication and talking through the process with folks and engaging them, because sometimes while I'm assessing and finding gaps, certain departments they may have an idea of what a solution might be, and so I think that that's even better because then they're more likely to adapt if I agree or have some input on different options for whatever solution we're discussing.
Mm-hmm. So you go into the department and you probably have some ideas and some solutions to offer. At the same time, you also want to collaborate with your client, the person that's there. And so just like some of the managers in the audience, they just like you're the consultant, you know the solution. And so when you go in to talk to the client, how do you know like what nonverbal verbal behaviors can you recall that they do when you sense that, hey, I don't trust this person, I don't know what she's doing here? What do you notice?
A lot of times, if someone is resistant or isn't sure of the situation, perhaps you get a lot of yes, no, not not elaborating on answers. And so I really want to encourage folks to talk, to sort of tell me walk me through their process, walk me through what they do. Just however I can try to help them feel more at ease.
Mhm. And what if they just show you a little bit and they don't show you more?
It depends on what the area is, but a lot of times it may be I might press a little bit to say, okay, that's great. Can we click on that if we're, doing an over the shoulder, looking at a system together, or it may be a request to ask for a report. But I would say overall, even if there's some resistance at the beginning, for the most part, people turn around when they realize, I'm not from an agency, I'm not from an organization that is a true threat. I'm really just trying to help the organization up their security posture.
Mm-hmm. And then so by you reminding them, do you remind them somehow that?
Yeah, I just remind them that their organization needs to work together as a team and everyone plays a key role. And how are ways that we can help? Say if they're from the IT department, what are ways in which we can help encourage the end users to, say, use best password practices? Are there security measures we can put in place for that, to try to help them strengthen their position?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then they'll eventually start to open up and get more comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you think
And
as
just letting them have an opportunity to speak openly and freely.
Right. So allowing them to, yeah, say what is their concern, open and freely, and that you're not going to do anything to jeopardize what they're doing. They probably can feel sometimes, oh, maybe that she's taking my job.
Right. Or is what's the end goal? Is it to replace folks or restructure? And for that's not what my consultant role is.
And how do you build that? How do you incorporate pieces like that so to reassure them? How do you do that?
You just, state plainly why I'm here. I'm just trying to get a sense of my focus is on the data and do you know where it is? You would have to report to an agency or, investors if that's how you're set up. Where your data is, and then how are you protecting it and who has access to it. A lot of the word breach scares people, and you hear a lot of those regularly in the news of data being stolen, and then folks needing to be notified about that. Well, no one wants to be on the, you know, the company that got breached. And so, that is really key, is really having a handle on your data. And if you have a lot of different systems, either in a bunch of different cloud systems, how much control do you have over securing that? And do you have a sense of where all the data is so that if there is an incident, can you quickly identify? And so just kind of talking them through that and why it's important to know that, because in the long run, it just helps them address issues quickly.
Right. Reminding they could take your data or the company's data, and then the downtime for that, or stress around that, or loss of money around that can be enough to be like, okay, Anastasia, what can you do to help me?
Right, exactly. So just understanding the big picture.
Yeah. Talking to them about the big picture, shared vision of what the company wants. And has there been a time where there are people in the executive level that do not agree on the way to go about this, or if it's not enough time?
Sometimes they haven't prior to the full assessment. They've heard, whispers or discussion of things in the past from, say, IT, of areas that they need to work on. But what my team likes to do is come in and try to help the executive level, if they weren't understanding that before. What does it mean for them bottom line? Because there's only so much money the company has, and so they do have to allocate budgets. And so, one of the things is, can the report we provide help them with their budgeting process, kind of prioritize, are these things we need to fix this quarter? Are these things we need to fix in this year? Is this sort of a 3 to 5 year project? And what is the risk factor along the way? Because sometimes a cyber incident has more than just, oh, you can't access the data. I mean, does it mean your whole company's down for a day? What does that mean bottom line, for your production? Are you a company that produces a product, and your product that you produce is a key element to another industry? And if you're down for a day or two, does that actually affect a completely different industry because they can't get the supply issue? That now they suddenly have a supply chain issue because you're not able to produce the product that they need. So sometimes it's bigger than just us and our company. What does downtime with us mean in our business, and also in relation to either our customers or associates, that kind of thing.
Okay, got it. So they've got to think bigger too, in terms of you're pitching to them, hey, this is going to affect your bottom line. So you're speaking their language in terms of bottom line, but then you're also expanding their perspective. It's not just about you, but it's also your potential partners and potential affiliates and all those other people that are also going to be affected by, and to their bottom line.
Correct. Yeah. Your kind of your business continuity, it plays into that.
Right. And do you think that, have you found that the bottom line, and is that the only thing that that resonates with them? Like you said, but it's also the continuity. What else have you found that also resonates with these execs, and what communication?
Well, their responsibility to their clients, their investors, they also have proprietary data that they want to protect. What makes them unique from competitors? They need to be concerned about protecting that. So there's a lot of factors that are important. I would say it's not just one element. And, it's even their employees, some for especially smaller firms, they're very engaged with all their employees and know all of them on a personal basis. And so, it's just different priorities for businesses. They have a variety of priorities that all need to be addressed. And so how do they balance that?
Awesome. So it sounds like you work with both the departments, the individuals in the departments, and also the executives who have brought you in.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, a lot of times it just starts with, if I'm doing an assessment, setting up an interview schedule where I'll interview folks from all different levels in the company and different departments. There's varieties of data that are important in a company. Certainly the client data or product data, depending on the business model, is very important, but also in the accounting department, the financial information is super important. That's also a very key area where folks are trying to always attack. They want to know who the CFO is or the bookkeeper. And then HR is very important too. That's a lot of secure, personally identifying information associated with the employees. And so that's important to protect that as well.
Wow. And have you noticed that you needed to adapt to the different personalities or departments, your communication style?
Yeah, it just depends on more. I wouldn't say there was particular departments have particular personalities. I think it's a individual basis. And so, after a while, you just kind of get used to, you can tell if someone feels more open or if they are hesitant, maybe they're not giving you full open answers. And so you just try to help encourage them to talk so that
Right.
you can really get an idea of the picture of the department and learn more about where the data is and how they're protecting it.
And so earlier we talked about when you notice someone is not open, they're short answers, or they might just show you a little bit here and there, and you have to take a little bit more time to ask them questions to reassure them that you're not a threat. How can you tell if someone is open?
They're very forthcoming with the information. You don't really have additional questions. It's very clear what they're presenting. And it's straightforward in the sense of you're getting a clear picture from them, where the data is and what is going on with their role and everything.
What about any body language? Do you notice the difference?
Well, I think there's standard. If I mean, it's a little harder on, we've all had to pivot to Zoom.
Yeah.
So sometimes people aren't on camera. That's a little trickier. If they are on camera, are they constantly distracted? Um, you know, sometimes an interview might be extended, whereas if we could just focus for 5-10 minutes, we could get this through this faster and you can move on to your next meeting. I understand folks are busy on different levels, and so you really don't want to waste their time, but it that would be, sometimes body language, somebody might seem a little distracted, but I would say that's pretty rare. For the most part, when we come in, people have been briefed a little bit. I just remind them why I'm there, and we just kind of try to get to the meat of it. And so it's really just having them tell me a little bit about their background, and then kind of dive into what they do on a daily basis, and then follow up with some specific questions. I think that style tends to put people a little more at ease than, where is this? What is this? Who
Yeah.
is it? That whole
Yeah.
thing. Uh, Whereas if they're driving it the conversation a little bit more, I think it helps put folks at ease. And
Right.
also
Right.
then if I can then that way, if I'm listening to that, I can also pick up on, where do I need follow up?
Yeah, because we can easily, if we want the information, I mean, we just want it now. We're like, where's this? Can we get, give me this. And then suddenly people feel a little bit micromanaged or overshadowed. You're looking over my
Yeah, or
shoulder,
bombarded. It's a little
bombarded.
too intense. Yeah.
Yeah, but for us, if we need to get things done, then that's just a direct way of getting the information. But then sometimes we need to take a break or take a step back and think about the other person, especially if they're not accustomed to someone coming in and asking for information. And then so you want to be sensitive and look at it from there, and then give them more of the, even though it's going to take you or us some time as a consultant, you want to be wary about where they're at and give them the power to give you the information or take the time and ask them the questions versus tell them. Asking questions about what this could mean, or what is this doing, or what is, how is this impacting you, type of thing. Questions like that. And then so how
Yeah, and also asking questions like, what keeps you awake at night?
yeah.
Because sometimes that's very insightful. uh you know then we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Why do you suppose that is? Or it also reinforces, a note that I took earlier. It's like, oh, okay, I see why they have that as something that concerns them.
Yeah.
So I think that that's good too.
Consult, yeah, like asking them what keeps you up at night. That's like everybody's just gonna go on and on.
Yeah, and we all have something. So I do have to say,
Right,
in the
right,
realm of information security, but
right, right. That's awesome. I love your insight and expertise on how to communicate as a consultant with solutions, but how do you, even as a consultant with solutions, how do you guide people, along the path to one path, like the people that are in the departments, even up to all the executive levels, and you're using different approaches and different communication.
Yeah, I mean, typically I like to have, um, once we've finished an assessment, we have a report with findings. It's important to review those findings with the client, clarify, before we finalize a report, we want to make sure, did we mishear something? Perhaps something that we identified as an issue really isn't an issue, or it's been addressed since we spoke to that department or the couple of different people that the issue came up. And so that's important. It gives them an opportunity to kind of give some feedback on that. And then also just answer questions along the way. And if there is, and help them prioritize, like, what does it mean if there's a finding in this area? What does that mean of the big picture of the company or of the potential risk or threat to you? What does it mean if you take a particular action? Does it address two of these risks listed, or does it identify one? And then, you can figure out, the client, the managers can figure out from their standpoint, what can they afford? Do they need to plan it again, more of a strategic budgeting approach, or is there certain elements they can take care of in the shorter term? And some things may be important enough that they should be addressed on the shorter term, but maybe it's just not a choice they can make at the moment. So they also have an option to have assumed risks. And every business has elements of assumed risk. And so that's always an option as well. But just trying to really help the client understand what different choices could mean. And then they're very comfortable with, their decisions that they make.
Right. Yeah, being mindful. So you're helping these organizational leaders just, hey, this is what's here. This is the assessment and even with the assessment, you got all the data from the assessment. Even with that, you want to clarify with them, is this correct? Is this still valid? Did we get this correctly? So ensuring that the data that you got is still valid, still correct. Do they agree? Do they disagree? Are there things that we need to change? And then even after that, then there's more questions about, once they get this data, what do we want to do with this data? And asking all the right questions about potential risk. And I love how you said potential risk A, potential risk B, and then there may be even a C. And then even if there might be something that they need to do now, but at least you asked all the right questions to help them to be clear about the risk and the assumed risks, and at least they're clear about it, versus that's what you do. I mean, versus not even know anything, right? Like for me, I avoided all this, the potential risks, and then therefore what happens, right? Someone needed to come into my world and say, hey, there's some risk here, and then if you don't address it, this is what's going to happen. And so this is what you do for organizations. Better to take a look at it, even if it's uncomfortable, to take a look at it and not avoid it. And then at least,
I mean, better to understand or be open to, you only know what you know. You're only as good as the information you receive.
Yeah, right. And not avoid it, and talk to someone like you to take a look at what is really here, the reality of it all, and then what can we do about it, and how much it's going to cost.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is so valuable and informative. I think for all project managers who, even if it's not cybersecurity, but I think that the key takeaway with just managing different people and communicating with different people, being more of a curiosity, asking questions versus just tell people what to do. I think in all projects, I think those are some key things that people can take away. And so,
Great.
yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience? One thing?
I don't think so. Well, going back to your mindfulness comment, we're always bombarded with so many different things during the day. There's social media, there's TV, there's news, and just take a break, take a breather, get up, take a walk, get away from your computer for a moment, come back, take a deep breath before you dive in and address your emails. And sometimes that just helps you not be sucked into, say, a potential phishing or email scam, that kind of thing.
So by taking a break, you believe that it could give us more clarity and not get sucked into some of it could be just a physical, emotional response because we're tired.
Right. Or we haven't had our morning coffee yet. And it's like,
Exactly.
oh no, there's a crisis in the account and an accounting department. And so, maybe if we just take a deep breath and, all right, we're ready to address the issue, then we remember, okay, I don't have to respond immediately to this email. I can instead reach out in a different way just to confirm that the issue is really real.
It's happened. It is real when people and employees get these emails for the organization, or they're asking money from the if you especially you're in finance, you can direct, or accounting, you can direct wire transfer. And then the money's gone.
Yeah, everything is the stakes are always high, and when the incidents happen, they've tried to raise the stakes even higher. And so that's why it's important for us to remember to just take a pause.
Yeah, I agree. Because everyone's tired. We're tired. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
pause, yeah, because we're overworked. And so taking the pause and then resetting and then looking at it with fresh eyes, and then communicating what you need with the people, the right people.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Anastasia. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome.
It was really
Yeah,
fun.
it was a pleasure speaking with you, Melinda.
I love being in the cyber world. It's so fascinating, especially with all that's happening, and there's constant change. So it's great to get all the latest information from you and what we could do about it.
Great. Excellent.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much.
You take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.